What if you wake up one day and find the ATM in your area starts splurging money? It began with a whir, just a soft metallic hum outside the Stanbank branch in Osu, Accra, the kind of sound that made people glance over their shoulders, curious but unbothered. The morning was humid, the streets heavy with trotro horns and fried plantain smoke. Nobody paid attention at first. Then the ATM started spitting money. 10 cedis, 20 cedis, 50 cedis, endless. The notes fluttered into the air like confetti, catching sunlight as they fell. A street mechanic named Kojo saw it first. He blinked once, twice, and then shouted, "Hey!" It's spraying cash. He ran forward, arms outstretched. The crowd followed, screaming and laughing, tumbling over each other in a fever of disbelief. Within minutes, Oxford Street was chaos. Women dropped their market goods to grab bills. Taxi drivers abandoned their cars mid-traffic. Students clutched wads of notes to their chests and wept. Videos hit social media. "Miracle money in Osu" trended by afternoon. Pastors showed up declaring prophecy fulfilled. Politicians arrived pretending to investigate. By sunset, the ATM was still pouring. Amma, a 15-year-old sachet water seller, stood across the street, her cooler beside her bare feet. She watched quietly, chewing her lip. She had seen greed before, but this was hunger turned wild. The crowd looked possessed, eyes glassy, mouths open. Then she saw something that froze her blood. Behind the ATM, where shadows bent wrong against the wall, a small shape crouched. No taller than her knee, skin the color of wet earth, eyes glowing gold. Its laughter was soft, like stones rolling in a stream. Amma blinked. The figure vanished. By midnight, something felt wrong in Accra. The first man to take the money, Kojo the mechanic, returned home dancing. But when he opened his hands to count his gains, the notes crumbled into dust. His laughter curdled in his throat. From the corner of the room, he heard a whisper. "Work for what you took." He woke the next morning to find himself standing knee-deep in mud in a vast empty field under a gray sky. His hands blistered, clutching a short hoe. Around him, hundreds of people toiled silently, men, women, bankers, drivers, all bent to the earth, digging, planting, sweating. He screamed, but no sound came out, and beneath the soil, the ground pulsed like a heartbeat. In the city, the ATM kept pouring. Those who hadn't yet taken from it now came with bags, wheelbarrows, even sacks. Soldiers cordoned off the street, but even they couldn't resist when the machine began whirring again. They stuffed cash into their uniforms, faces wild. Amma watched from across the street. She had tried to warn them, told one woman she saw a dwarf behind the machine, but the woman slapped her arm and hissed, "Keep quiet, foolish girl. You don't stop blessings." That night, the street was littered with bills, but nobody saw Kojo again, or the fruit seller who had filled her basket with notes, or the boy who'd climbed onto the ATM and screamed, "I'm rich forever, gone." All of them. By the third day, whispers filled Accra. People said the money was cursed. Others said it was government testing black magic. But the disappearances continued. The police found only piles of dust where the missing had last been seen. Amma couldn't rest. She went back at dawn when the streets were still gray and quiet. The ATM stood there, faintly humming, its green light flickering like a tired eye. "I know you're there," she said. The air rippled. Out of the ground, the dwarf spirit rose, short, broad, with soil clinging to his skin. His eyes gleamed like molten gold. "You see me," he said, his voice echoing through her bones. "I saw what you did," Amma said, trembling. "You took them." "I claimed what was owed," the dwarf replied. "They took without giving. Now they give without rest." "Where are they?" she whispered. He turned his head and the world bent. Amma suddenly saw it, a vast plain beneath the city where thousands labored endlessly under a dim, blood-orange sky. They dug and planted with wooden tools, backs bent, tears carving lines through dust. "For every seed taken," the dwarf said, "a day of labor. They till the earth that feeds the spirits, the ground they ignored." Amma's voice cracked. "They'll die. They already did when greed swallowed them." He began to fade back into shadow. Amma reached out, desperate. "What do you want from us?" The dwarf's voice lingered like smoke. "Remember that wealth is not earned by hands that only take." Then he was gone. By morning, Oxford Street was silent. The ATM stood lifeless, its slot blackened, the bank logo flickering faintly. Nobody approached it anymore, but the consequences had begun to show. The missing people were not dead, not entirely. Their bodies appeared again in the city days later, walking slowly, eyes hollow, moving like machines. They spoke little. They carried soil in their palms, dust in their hair. When questioned, they only said one thing: "I must finish my days." The man who'd taken 3,000 CDs worked ceaselessly cleaning gutters. The woman who'd taken 7,000 CDs swept the streets, never resting. The soldiers who had stuffed their uniforms with cash were seen repairing roads at night, faces blank, hands bleeding. They didn't eat, they didn't sleep, they just worked. And the ground beneath Accra seemed to hum softly, a rhythm that only the guilty could hear. Amma kept selling her sachet water. She tried to ignore the strange new silence that hung over the city. But every now and then she saw them. The workers, the cursed, moving through the streets at dusk, shoulders bent under invisible weight. She followed one once, a young man she recognized from the crowd. He had once shouted, "Money no be problem," as he filled a sack from the ATM. Now he pushed a cart of dirt down Independence Avenue, barefoot, eyes blank. "How long will you work?" Amma asked him softly. He stopped. His cracked lips trembled. 5,000 days, he said, voice thin as wind. "Then I will rest." Her heart twisted. "Who made you like this?" "The one who guards the gold of the ground," he murmured, "and punishes hands that forget the weight of work." Then he walked on, vanishing into the night. The ATM was finally removed. Stanbank released a statement. Technical malfunction due to system overload. But everyone knew better. Nobody used that corner anymore. People crossed the street when they neared it. And though life in Accra returned to its usual rhythm, traffic, music, gossip, something had changed. People counted money differently now. Market women prayed over their earnings. Men hesitated before boasting about riches, because once in a while at the edge of the night a faint humming rose from underground, the sound of 1,000 hoes striking soil in unison. Amma heard it too. And when she did, she'd whisper a quiet prayer for those who still worked beneath the city, those who had traded their greed for endless toil. Sometimes, when the wind blew from the coast carrying the smell of earth and iron, she could almost hear the dwarf's voice again. "Work is the price of wanting without giving." And far below, under the streets of Accra, the cursed kept digging. One swing of the hoe for every seed eye they had once stolen, their sweat feeding the roots of a city that had forgotten the cost of hunger. Until, one by one, their labors ended. And silence, heavy, grateful, unbroken, fell over the ground they had repaid.